Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers, and in this video we're pitting two pretty new daily trainers up against each other, going head to head. We've got the Saucony Ride 17 here up against the ASICS Gel Nimbus 26. These are two big stack daily trainers that both offer soft cushion comfort aimed at your easy miles recovery runs and longer efforts. The Nimbus 26 has some minor upgrades versus 25. The Ride 17 has been a real hit with the Run Tester, so which one is best? Well, we've logged the miles to find out, and we're here to help you decide which shoe might suit your running better. So watch on for our ASICS Gel Nimbus versus Saucony Ride 17 head to head. Let's start with some quick comparison details. Stack first, the Saucony Ride 17 packs 35mm in the heel, 27mm in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. The Nimbus 26 has a much bigger stack with 42mm in the heel, 34 in the forefoot, also for an 8mm drop. When it comes to weight, the Ride 17 tips the scales at 10.3 ounces or 293 grams in our UK men's 8.5 test shoe. The Nimbus 26 comes in heavier at 11.1 ounces or 314 grams. On price, there's a big difference here. The Nimbus 26 are a chunk pricier, £180 or $160. The Ride 17 come in cheaper at £135 or $140. Now moving on to a quick shoe whip round, starting with the midsoles then. Well, the Ride 17's midsole has a big but not max stack of the livelier Power Run Plus foam. That's the same foam that you'll find in the Triumph 21. In the Ride 16, by comparison, had the regular Power Run foam. The Nimbus 26 midsole remains largely the same as the 25, with a big, wide stack of Flight Foam Blast Eco foam. That's made with 20% bio-based content. It's tuned medium soft to soft, but with a bit of rebound. There's the familiar Pure Gel heel insert here too. It's a section of sort of springy rebounding material incorporated into the midsole to create soft cushion landings. Maximum impact absorption as well. You also get a rockered midsole geometry that aims to smooth transitions. Up top, the Nimbus 26 features new engineered stretch knit uppers. You've got the same big padded heel collars here as the last gen, stretchy, knitted and gusseted tongues as well. There's also an update to the lace eyelets with a more robust design that ASICS says should create a more supportive midfoot hold. They ought to be more durable too. The Ride 17 has engineered mesh uppers. As ever, the Saucony says those have been tweaked to improve breathability, specifically across the toes, but there's also quite notable big perforations in the sidewalls here. Saucony says they've improved the midfoot wrap and created better lockdown comfort in the heel. There are medium padded heel collars on this one and a medium padded gusseted tongue. Flip them over and you've got a bit more rubber on the ASICS. That's now a hybrid of ASICS grip and AHA rubber with these kind of little studs on there that have been introduced to provide a better grip and improve on the 25. Saucony's got a particularly kind of it's a sort of familiar pattern here with their rubber that they use on most of their shoes. That's also got these sort of little studs, perhaps not as much covering overall though. When it comes to fit, I ran true to size in both shoes. My regular running shoe, that's a UK 8.5, US 9.5 size, and I'd recommend going true to size in both. For the Ride 17, I found the fit spot on. It's roomy, but it's not baggy. You get good heel hold and lockdown across the midfoot. There's enough flex and wiggle room in the toe box. Good security across the midfoot without any restriction. And I'd recommend going true to size here. With the Nimbus 26, the padded heel collars hold the heels well. The tongues boost the plushness. The uppers wrap quite snugly, but there's ample room in the toe box and enough flex here for these shoes to feel spacious. I've got decent lace lockdown across the midfoot too, but they're not as natural and as instantly disappearing on the foot in terms of the fit as the Saucony Ride 17. That's partly due though to the weight and the overall heft of the shoe.
So I had no concerns about the fit of either of these shoes in my normal running shoe size. I wear a UK 9 normally, and that translates to a US 10 with both of these brands, and I have the same size D shoes I've had across the ASICS and Saucony range, and they fit me really well. Good amount of room in the toe box, nice comfortable hold and secure hold around the heel and midfoot, so no concerns. I think the Gel Nimbus is a slightly roomier shoe of the two, but it's not really much in it, and I would stick to your normal running shoe size. The only minor concern I would have with the Ride 17 is that these fabric eyelets they have don't seem the sturdiest to me. I've actually ripped one open at pretty much my first run in the shoe by putting the laces tight, and this is not something I've ever done with any other shoe, so that's something to look out for. With the Ride, I don't really love that eyelet design, but I think it's been okay with the other guys, and if you're careful pulling your laces, it shouldn't be a problem, but I've never done it to any other shoe, so I thought it was worth commenting on that I did rip that eyelet open.
Now for run test then, I'm closing in on maybe 60 or 70 miles in the Saucony Ride 17. I've done around 45 in the Nimbus 26. A lot of slow, easy miles, some faster efforts, and on a mix of road and light off-road, the usual kind of stuff that we do when we're testing here. I've spent 90 minutes plus in the Ride 17 as well, and I've bashed out a big fast all-out 5k in them as well. Now, first up, I think both of these shoes are very capable. They're well built. I loved the Ride 17 from the moment I put them on though, and I found that they felt natural, easy, disappearing on the foot. It's a nicely balanced shoe, the 17. The Power Run Plus foam works well. There's a softness that takes the edge off your landings, but it's not too sinky, bites back just at the right time. And along with the rockering and the speed roll, you get smooth transitions in a shoe that's got great clip along across a wide range of paces. When it comes to Nimbus 26, meanwhile, this shoe oozes plush comfort. You instantly know you're lacing up plush shoes that prioritise comfort over speed and agility. The Ride is largely the same drill as the Nimbus 25, loads of soft plush comfort with a cradled footbed that takes almost all of the road out of each of your foot strikes. But it isn't completely devoid of energy as well. There's a lot of sink, but there is a little bounce too. There's a stiffness to the midsole as well. I don't know, it sort of partly comes because of the outsole rubber that's there. But I found the transition somewhat disconnected. I didn't get the seamless roll through that I was hoping for from the rocker. And that new outsole seems to make everything very slappy, and that makes them less comfortable, I think, than the 25 and the Ride 17, no matter how you run in them. Now, I've also done a side-by-side mile with one shoe on each foot here, and this is what I found. So I've just done a side-by-side mile. Really quickly then, I've got the Ride 17 on the left foot, I've got the Nimbus 26 on the right foot. One of the key differences here, I set it between the Nimbus and the Nova Blast. It's the same deal here. The fit and the hold and the security in the heel collars, across the tongues, across the midfoot is much, much tighter and more secure in the ASICS Gel Nimbus. It really holds the foot and hugs the foot. And you can feel that foot security just below the ankle and into the heel. It really, really sort of clasps the heel. The Ride 17 does a great job of holding as well. It's just not quite as tight. When it comes to the Ride, the first thing you notice instantly, I think here, is the bigger stack that you've got on the Nimbus 26. You can feel the volume, particularly under the ball of the foot in the midfoot. If you land mid to forefoot like I do, you'll notice that engaging far more quickly. Saucony Ride 17 has a bit more of a flat landing. Don't feel the foam in a kind of it's almost like having a slight bowl under the foot in the Nimbus, I think. Whereas the Saucony Ride 17 is a little bit flatter. There is roll, there is rockering, perhaps not as extensive as you'll get on the Nimbus 26. In terms of the softness, these two shoes I think are on a par here. And that gets really interesting because I think most people are going to be picking the Nimbus for their overall cushion comfort, for those long, easy efforts. Ride 17 can do that just as well, I think. And it's a much, much cheaper shoe. Overall, the comfort on the foot, not a huge amount to choose. I think I prefer the slightly roomier fit, the Ride 17. If you want a snugger, more secure fit, maybe go for the Nimbus. In terms of the energy and the responsiveness and the lightness, you know, you're packing less weight in the Ride 17, and I think that means that it's going to have a lot more versatility than the Nimbus 26. So when you get into those kind of ranges up towards kind of marathon pace, I think the Ride 17 is going to do a better job. The Nimbus 26, I've said it a few times in different videos we've had on the channel, I think it's like a one gear shoe to me. It's best at those really easy miles. I don't think it's very good when you try and get out of those. So yeah, but from a side-by-side perspective, it's really interesting. There's excellent comfort in both of these shoes actually. I mean, the funny thing as well is that every time I've popped on the one Nimbus 26 with another shoe, I've enjoyed it more than when I've had two Nimbuses on. I don't know what that means, but anyway, I'll finish off this back in the office.
So I've logged plenty of miles of both of these shoes. I have enjoyed using them, and I've used them both basically as versatile daily trainers as it happens. I've used the Gel Nimbus for a range of runs. Mostly I do this as a cushioned cruiser for easy and long runs, but I have done one hard session in it during the course of my testing just because I had no other shoes available actually, but it was interesting to go and do a hard session in the shoe. Ride 17, traditionally the Ride I think has been a all-rounder shoe, quite a lightweight shoe. The last couple of versions that is a little bit less cushioned than things like the Gel Nimbus, but the latest version has adopted a lot of features and setup from the Saucony Triumph line, which I think is more of a max cushion shoe. I think the Ride now is a bit more equivalent to the Gel Nimbus 26, but I do think it retains a bit more versatility than the ASICS for sure. It's comfortable, no doubt about that, but the Power Run Plus foam you have in the midsole here gives you a little bit more kind of a grounded feel, but also just a little bit more speed. If you're going to go and try and use some fast runs in the shoe, I think you can go and do some fast runs in the Ride. I think it's a reasonably accomplished all-rounder. For me, I think it's still a bit heavy and not that great for fast runs. It's a shoe that I personally would use more for just easy daily training, but I think it's got a bit more about it on this front than the Gel Nimbus 26, which I do feel really just works for easy runs, this latest version. Like, I did do a hard run in it. I didn't really enjoy it. I was doing like a 2-mile rep, some fartlek, and another 1-mile rep, and it just felt, big, and it takes a lot out of you to run hard workouts in that kind of shoe, especially when geometry is geared really much more for ticking along at an easy pace. You don't really get a lot of lift off from the shoe, off your toe off, when you're trying to run fast in it. Whereas the Ride 17 does have a bit more of that within its makeup. Like, it is more of an all-rounder, more of a daily trainer. It's strayed now into quite heavy territory, and it's not one that I necessarily love as a daily trainer as a result, but I do think it has more about it on that front than the Gel Nimbus 26. Another thing I noticed when I was testing the two shoes is that the Gel Nimbus 26 latest version has got quite a slappy sound to it with the new outsole. And I also think it creates a bit of firmness underfoot that takes away some of the comfort on long runs or hard runs. I noticed it in that session, and on a long run, you get a little bit of forefoot discomfort from the way it hits this new outsole, which I think is quite hard. ASICS has obviously been done to improve the grip. The grip is pretty good, but I think you get better grip actually from the Saucony Ride and the outsole you have on this, and it doesn't have that slappy sensation. It has a bit more of a smoother feel to it. That means that I didn't get any forefoot discomfort when running a long run in this shoe, for example, and it's another little tick in the Ride 17's favour, I'd say. I think in the past, I think these shoes have been quite different in terms of how I'd have viewed them with my run test. I've viewed the Ride 17 as much more of a daily trainer. I think it is now more of a cushioned, comfortable shoe, but it still has a bit more versatility than the Gel Nimbus 26 for me.
Verdict is an easy one for me. I much prefer the Saucony Ride 17. It's a much more balanced shoe. There's much more versatility in it in the way I run. It doesn't quite have the pillowy sink of the Nimbus 26, but it can cope happily with slower, longer runs where comfort is key. And then it's also pretty happy at paces, I think, up to marathon pace as well. The Nimbus 26, for me at least, can't really get much out of first gear. I tend to choose shoes that are less sort of squishy anyway, that feel like less shoe on the foot. So if you want your easy shoes super squishy, ignore me and go for the Nimbus 26. But if you want a more do-it-all shoe and you can run in an easy shoe that's a little less marshmallowy and more responsive, then I think the Ride 17 is the one I'd recommend. It's much cheaper too. Now, if you're dead set though on the Nimbus, I definitely recommend sticking with the 25 over the 26. They're available on deals now and you're getting pretty much the same shoe.
A couple of solid cushion shoes here. I think the Ride 17 inheriting so much from the Triumph really makes me view it as a slightly cheaper Triumph, and I like the Triumph 21 more than the Gel Nimbus 25 and 26, and I like the Ride 17 a bit more than the Gel Nimbus 26, and it's a fair bit cheaper as well. I think for that you are getting a cushioned, durable, hard-working shoe that can handle a nice range of runs pretty well, even if it's not an absolute speedster or one that I particularly enjoy doing fast stuff in, even compared to previous versions of the shoe. I do think it is a shoe that can do those okay, whereas the Gel Nimbus 26 really doesn't feel like it's got a lot of versatility to me. It feels like a nice cushion shoe, and that's great, but you're paying a lot of money for that. So you can get a shoe like the Ride, which I think does a great job of those easy runs as well. It is a nice comfortable shoe to cruise for easy and long runs, but then is a bit more versatile, is a bit lighter, gives you a bit more, has a better geometry and a better toe off to it if you are going to do any kind of faster runs, faster daily training. I think for me that makes it an easy pick when comparing these two shoes. So yeah, I would get the Ride 17 overall myself. I think it is the better all-round shoe and just as really as good for those easy runs as the Gel Nimbus 26, and then a little bit cheaper as well.
So there you have it. That has been our head-to-head review of the Saucony Ride 17 versus the ASICS Gel Nimbus 26. I hope you found it useful. If you've run in either or both of these shoes, feel free to hit us up in the comments below with what you found about them. It helps the other viewers out there choose the shoes as well. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, ring that bell, do all of those things to be notified when there's more content coming up on the channel soon. It also really helps support the channel so we can keep making the videos that hopefully help you buy the right shoes. If you're interested in more detail on either of these shoes, I'm going to pop full review videos up on the channel just about now. Otherwise, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you about these videos, about these shoes. And yeah, we hope to see you again soon on the Run Test, where I will probably be able to speak in whole sentences. Thank you very much for watching, and happy running, everyone. Good luck with what you're doing out there.